Nothing worthwhile. Mediocre podcasting. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eastern Europe's most feared martial artist, Ivan Krasinski!
Jason Stillwell wanted to be a champion, but he's having a tough time at school.
Look, no excuses here, mister. Let's see what you're made of. Fight!
And a tougher time at life.
Stay out of the way, punk. She's mine.
But Jason has a dream.
Someday I'm gonna be just like him.
He needs a little help and a lot of guidance.
Now your training begins.
He's just found the best.
Set the images, all in your head. The result is power!
Now, Jason's getting serious, getting fast,
Power!
and getting competitive. He wanted to be a champion,
You're good. I get better.
but he never expected to be a hero. No retreat, no surrender.
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fastest.
Groo, do me a favor. Adjust your karate gi and fix it. It's,
I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Let me get the. Hold on. Let me get the. Let me get the turquoise belt.
Well, I was going to say it was a brown belt, but that wasn't because he achieved any kind of karate level.
Yeah, it was. It's it's early in the morning.
Urine, feces, just a lack of laundry. Actually, Groo, I don't know if you could see. I'm in my '80s short shorts for my workout montage. I got my ankle weights on. Hold on, let me do some one-arm push-ups.
Yeah.
Let me. Shit! Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
there you go.
Oh God.
I think you just pulled an eyebrow.
Oh, hold on. Let me get a Budweiser. Oh, and a Marlboro.
Yeah,
Red.
Marlboro. There you go. Light it up.
Oh, Swickatine.
Cigarettes are good. Cigarettes are good.
All right. In honor of this podcast, Groo, let's go back to back. I say no retreat. You say
no surrender.
All right. Live via Zoom. It's our pilot episode, our newest podcast venture from Nothing Worthwhile. Evan Moody and Braxton Moody, a.k.a. Puppy Shango on the West Coast. Let's bring in my best friend, my partner in crime, Andrew Gruthius on the East Coast. Groo, Van Dammit. How the hell are you, my friend?
I'm ready to go with this. Van Dammit indeed. Doing very well. It's the weekend. Long awaited. And we've been trying to get this going for a while. And the stars finally aligned. And here we are, ready to join our esteemed colleagues over at the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. And very excited. It's a great day.
Well, we do want to thank Ryan Rebalkin and the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network for giving us a great opportunity to present ourselves.
Yes.
Hopefully to a brand new and larger audience. For our premiere episode of Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme, we will be tackling 1986 No Retreat, No Surrender. But first, it's time for a brand new segment. It's called
Nothing Worthwhile presents Obscure Van Damme Trivia.
Obscure Van Damme Trivia is brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out their medical weight loss programs at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com. or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Hey, do us a favor. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. A big Van Dammit thank you to New Life Center. All right, Groo, are you ready for a couple of obscure Van Damme trivia questions?
I am not retreating. I am not surrendering from your challenge. Yes.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Question number one. I'll do my deep voice announcer.
Okay.
Jean-Claude Van Damme worked as a bouncer for what fellow action movie star? Is it A, Clint Eastwood, B, Chuck Norris, C, Charles Bronson, D, Roger Moore?
I am going to say I have no idea. I'm purely guessing. I'm going to say D, Roger Moore. Because
Van Damme.
Because
Van Damme.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say because Roger Moore doesn't quite fit in with those other three, and I feel like we would have known that. I feel like that's something I would have known if he was with those guys. So Roger Moore makes a little bit more sense, but you tell me.
All right, Fred, lock him in on a D. Van Damme, we know Van Damme's known as the Muscles from Brussels. He operated a gym in Brussels and had early success in bodybuilding and modeling, but he wanted to act. He headed to Hollywood in his early 20s. He's actually had some bit parts in films even before No Retreat, No Surrender. Actually, he was in 1984's Monaco Forever, where he was officially credited as, listen to this, Gay Karate Man. That's the next Van Dammit podcast episode, Gay Karate Man. However, Groo, while in Hollywood, he bounced for Woody's Wharf, a bar owned by martial arts icon Chuck Norris. The correct answer is B.
Oh, well, you didn't say that part of it. Like, when you said bodyguard or when you said security, I thought you meant, like, somebody who travels around with the guy who, like, literally, but you're talking about he worked in his restaurant, or he worked in his bar.
Was that really going to change?
Well, I would not have thought that Roger Moore would have had a bar in Hollywood, but you know, that's okay.
All right, already the podcast sucks. So just fucking do it. Damn it. All right, well, let's get to question number 2.
You said, hey, look, you know what? You said it was obscure, and that's obscure, so it works.
Okay, thank you. Can we move on to number 2 now?
Yeah, let's go.
Without you trampling all over me. He takes a breath, and I think he's done. And I have always told him, take a breath, I'm going to move on. And he goes,
it's the Zoom delay here. It's the delay, you know.
That could be true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Number 2, Jean-Claude Van Damme once challenged what fellow action movie star to a fight at Sylvester Stallone's house?
Ooh.
Is it A, Kurt Russell, B, Peter Weller, C, Steven Seagal, D, Sigourney Weaver?
Well, logic would point to Sigourney Weaver, but I don't think it's Sigourney Weaver. Who was the? You said Peter Weller. Who was the third one?
Kurt Russell, Peter Weller, or Steven Seagal?
I'm going to say Steven Seagal. And the reason why is because Steven Seagal and Van Damme kind of became action icons around the same time. Like Van Damme started becoming an above-the-title guy around 1988, I want to say, like Bloodsport, kickboxer, and Seagal around the same time with like Above the Law and Mark for Death and those. So I'm going to say C, Steven Seagal.
Okay, is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
All right, Fred, lock him in on a C. In 1997, Stallone invited both Van Damme and actor Steven Seagal to a house party at Stallone's property in Miami, Florida. At some point, Van Damme expressed irritation that Seagal had previously claimed he could beat Van Damme in a fight. Van Damme demanded Seagal follow him outside to settle it, which Stallone claimed Seagal avoided. Later, the two were at a nightclub where Van Damme again confronted Seagal, who slipped out like Houdini, according to Sylvester Stallone. Groo, you are correct.
Nice.
C, Steven Seagal.
Yes. All right.
Our final question for obscure Van Damme trivia, number 3.
I wonder if you Hard for Justice guys knew that. Did you know that?
Thank you. Let me start again. Jean-Claude Van Damme has 2 statues dedicated in his honor. What two countries are these statues located? Is it A, Belgium and Azerbaijan, B, Germany and Turkmenistan, C, Netherlands and Poland, D, Pakistan and Indonesia? Jean-Claude has two statues dedicated in his honor. What two countries are these statues located?
Well, I got to go with A because it's Belgium. I don't know what that other country is, but I would go with A.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, whatever that is. I got to go with Belgium, so I'll go with A on that one.
In 2012, a statue paying tribute to Van Damme debuted in Brussels, Belgium, in front of the Westland Shopping Center. You don't go to Westland Shopping Center for all your vaping needs?
I go to the one in Sawgrass. I don't go to the one in Brussels, but
the towering sculpture depicts Van Damme in a martial arts pose, ready to strike. Van Damme also has a second statue sporting his likeness, this one in the country of Azerbaijan. The piece, which features Van Damme doing his trademark splits, is located in the village of Van Damme. So I guess there's a village of Van Damme in Azerbaijan.
Hey, this is an
and I don't give a damn.
Podcast.
So
damn it.
So flim flam or jim jam. All right, that's it.
All right,
that's,
2 out of 3.
Nice. That 2 out of 3 ain't bad. As
2 out of 3.
Said, so very good.
Awesome.
All right, Groo. Today's Van Dammit podcast, Jean-Claude Van Damme's No Retreat, No Surrender, is brought to you by New You Life Center. The journey is everything. Actually, we're going to follow Van Damme in this journey. Phoenix Entrepreneur named them in the top 15 med spa in 2021. Check out all of their medical aesthetics and cosmetic injectables at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you to New You Life Center. Groo, are you ready for No Retreat, No Surrender?
I've been ready for this my whole life.
It's all coming to this. Groo, it's a No Retreat, No Surrender is a 1986 martial arts film directed by Corey Yuen. That's his American directorial debut, starring Kurt McKinney and Jean-Claude Van Damme. We know that Van Damme is specifically cast as Soviet heavy Ivan Kaczynski.
Ivan the Russian Kaczynski.
I don't know about Krasinski. I think there's a Jewish deli in Coral Springs.
Yeah, I remember hanging with Ivan Kaczynski in middle school at West Hollow. I think he was sat across from me at lunch. I remember that kid.
Was he in the self-contained classroom setting?
Yes, he was. He was in the resource room with us, and you'd often see him at detention.
Well,
it's good to see that he's done something with himself.
I want to do a professional broadcast in this. Thank you. Look, Groo, we know that this is the first film that credits Van Damme with extended screen time. We'll talk about that piece in a minute, but just any early thoughts on seeing a young and very spry Jean-Claude Damme, really for I guess, quote unquote, the first time on film. Any just initial thoughts? I mean, you're a movie guy.
Well, I have to confess, and don't judge me.
Oh no! He's going to give us some obscure?
It's not an obscure.
I saw him.
No, it's not an obscure anything. It's in 1988 saw this movie in the theater. So
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Actually, no, 1986. 1986. I saw it in the theater before anybody knew who Jean-Claude Van Damme was. So to me, he was the bad guy, which he is in the movie. So in rewatching it this past week, it is very interesting to see who, it's really his only role as a heavy. So what are you laughing at?
But you actually went to the theater. How old were you?
That's what I said. I was 11 years old. Listen, you see this movie, you see the trailers, okay? It had a wide release. It looks
Who took you to see it?
I went with some friends. I think I had friends then.
At 11?
Sure. No, it wasn't you.
No. I'm saying 11 years old.
Well, obviously, my dad probably dropped us off at the Comac Multiplex, but
Let me ask you a question. Did you live with hippies? Were there any kind of rules?
No,
in this
there's
household?
absolutely none.
Hey, I'm 11. I'm going to go to a movie.
Yeah,
Bye, guys.
What, you never saw a movie when you were a kid? Of course you did, but
at 11, I mean, probably my mom was like, "No, no."
We went to see this movie because it looked like exactly what I think it was trying to be, a cross between The Karate Kid and Rocky IV. And, of course, those were two things I was very interested in. Little did I know that I wasn't getting anything like that, but, what did I know at that age? But the point is, at the time I saw it, Van Damme was just the villain. Years later, obviously, it's very interesting to see him.
Okay, so give me years later, like when you watched it now, just early thoughts. Don't give me a review of the movie, but I don't know, just any interest, when you see a young Van Damme on film, do you see potential? Does it?
Yes, he commands the screen. He's he commands the screen. You can see why he became an action hero / star. Same. I'm not comparing the movies. I'm comparing the screen presence. Same with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the original Terminator. Remember, he was the bad guy. But obviously, you could see how he was the centerpiece of the, when he's on screen, you can't look anywhere else. And I think Van Damme has the same, magnetism, even in this movie here. So you could definitely see why he became the star that he became. And he really wouldn't play a villain again until I think the Expendables years and years later, unless I'm mistaken. But yes, even looking at it now, you see him and he eats up the screen. He's a movie star, even then.
I'm just fascinated that you actually went to the theater. I just have to say.
Well, I said it was a confession. It was something that I knew you would judge me on, and you know what? But for the good of the show, I said it anyway.
I was about to say my line, so I was going to say too much free time.
Hey, if if they came out,
no standards. No standards,
none at all. I mean,
go ahead, please. It's the Andy Groo show.
Reminds me of when I went to see Showgirls by myself. What are you going to go with a bunch of guys? No, you're not going to.
Likes boys. I'm sorry.
Yes, I went to see it.
Feel free.
I went to see it. I went to see it because it interested me, the type of movie that it was. I was right in the middle of my, I'm always in a Rambo phase, but, you can't get enough of that stuff. I didn't know anything about it other than what it looked like. So it was interesting enough to go see it, and I did. I don't regret it. Well, maybe a little, but it is what it is. And look, I'm glad to say that I went to see Jean-Claude Van Damme's first big American movie in the theater. I can lay that claim.
I asked him one question. We got an 8-minute soliloquy. Hey, listen, folks, you're going to get that kind of scintillating insight on Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit. Well, that is an interesting tidbit. Of course, Groo, this is the first film in the very prestigious No Retreat, No Surrender franchise. Director Corey Yuen was mostly known for his action and directing work. I looked up Corey Yuen. It's mostly, sort of these chopsocky action films in Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
In terms of development and writing, after living in Taiwan for a year in the early 80s, screenwriter Keith W. Strandberg actually is the Moody family accountant.
I was going to say, I think I went to his bar mitzvah.
Became interested in working in martial art films as an actor. Strandberg moved back to the United States and became a tour director in China, where he continued to stop by in Hong Kong to make contact with producers and screenwriters. Strandberg read about the Seasonal Film Corporation and got in contact with studio head Ngo Si-yoon. Ngo expressed an interest in making an American film and asked if Strandberg knew anything
Film
about
Corporation.
They're most famous for doing the late '80s Camp Wayne promotional films, videos. Actually,
do they wait? Don't
Stramberg,
they do the ones that they play on the airlines, like showing you how to put the seatbelt on? Isn't that their big? Isn't that their big thing?
Maybe, but listen to this. Stramberg was asked if he knew anything about screenplays, and he stated he had never seen one before, and they gave him the job.
Oh well.
And so I say, Groo, fake it before you make it. Have you ever heard like a mainstream Hollywood guy who had like literally no experience, kind of making it or getting a crack at something? I mean,
only one, Sylvester Stallone.
Okay, interesting.
But this guy said it's like, do you know? It's like you're trying to get a job as a lawyer. Okay.
Well,
where'd you go? Where'd you go to law school? I didn't. Oh, you're hired.
No,
like, what?
actually, let me clarify. Stramberg lied. He said he had dealt with screenplays.
Oh, he had,
despite never seeing one. I apologize. However, they didn't give him the job, and a year later, Nagin C. Yoon from Seasonal Film Corporation contacted Stramberg, saying he wanted Stramberg to write a script for them. So he did write a draft of what would become No Retreat, No Surrender. While production began on the film, Stramberg was on set and spent hours every night changing the script to improve its quality while filming it. Okay, well, there's Keith Stramberg. I mean, do films scramble like that typically and have draft changes along?
Oh
the
yeah,
way?
all the time. Yes, they call it like new pages. Like if you come to the set in the morning and they say they have new pages for you, that means it's something that's going to deviate from what you've been working with. Actors hate that.
Does that mess up?
It doesn't
Does that mess up the actors?
No, it can mess up the actors. It's probably frustrating for the actors, but it's really no different than any other business. If even like we're in education, it's like we plan on doing something. It's like you plan a lesson. You spend hours and days planning a specific lesson, then you come in and that morning they say, oh, we're going to have an assembly, or oh, we're going to have fire drills this period. We're going to, it's like changing, and they're giving you less time than you thought you would have, and so you have to adjust on the fly. It's the same kind of thing.
Well, my question would be: actors have to memorize lines. Teachers don't necessarily have to memorize lessons. So if there's a script change, I would imagine that would be terribly frustrating to an actor.
To some, yes. To some, yes. I've seen it both ways. Some are like they know this is what happens. They want the writing to be the best it could possibly be. Some, have the attitude, well, look, I've been working on this. I'm into character with this, and now you're telling me I'm doing that. It's all in the eye of the beholder. So, but it's a very common and more often than not used practice. Happens all the time.
Groo, what was the prestigious cast of No Retreat, No Surrender? We have Kurt McKinney as the starring role as Jason Stillwell. Of course, we have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Ivan the Russian Krasinski, J.W. Fales as R.J. Madison, Kathy Soleno as Kelly Riley, Tai Chung Kim as the ghost of Bruce Lee, Kent Lipham as Scott, Ron Pennell as Ian Whirlwind Riley, the member of the Seattle Sidekicks, Dale Jacoby as Dean Shooting Star Ramsey, Seattle Sidekicks, and Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham as Frank Peters, member of the Seattle Sidekicks. So, Groo, we do know that a very young Jean-Claude Van Damme was cast as Soviet villain Ivan Katrinsky. So on the set, Van Damme, it was reported, performed a roundhouse kick on Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham, who was a 7-time legit mixed martial arts champion, which knocked him out unconscious. Sugarfoot retired with a 50-1 professional bout career, so that was really no joke. Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham, I don't know if people know this, but Groo, your MMA nickname was Andrew Potbelly Gruthius.
Yeah. There was nothing wrong with that.
I'm sorry. Cheap heat. I'm sorry. I just I thought it was interesting because I'm sorry. Apparently, on the set, Van Damme was admonished because he worked very stiff, legitimately, during filming, and he literally was told not to kick people. And
well, imagine you're.
Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
One second.
Go ahead.
Let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
I want to say I'm not surprised by that. Why I could see Van Damme doing that. So now I'm going to throw it to you. He literally knocked out a MMA guy who was a bit player in the film, and apparently some of the notes indicate that he was kind of worked stiff with people. Okay, Andrew, now I will throw it to you. Any thoughts on perhaps Jean-Claude being a little heavy with his fellow actors?
Not surprising at all, because you've been trained as a fighter. All right, he wasn't really an actor yet, so when he's kicking, he's used to actually kicking people.
Good point.
Instead of faking it. You have to be taught to fake it. You have to be, that's not something that I would think that regular fighters can just jump into naturally. So it's not surprising that here in the beginning, if you told me that he was doing it while he was making Kickboxer 3, when he was already a superstar, then I would say that he should have it down by then. But in the beginning, not surprising, not at all.
That's a very good point. I didn't think that. My feeling was, and perhaps not fair to Mr. Jean-Claude, but I feel like early on he had a little bit of an arrogant I'm better than you streak. I have no proof of that. Maybe it's just stuff I've read. Maybe he turned some people off through the early part of his career before he maybe hit a little bit of an older age and got perhaps a little bit more humbled. And I have no proof of this. I just when I read that, I was like, I'm not surprised. Like if you said that about Seagal, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Right, but I could see that. I could see that because I think he's more of a he seems younger when he started out than like a Seagal did. Seagal seemed like when Seagal first came on the scene, he seemed seasoned already to me. Yeah. Anyway, Van Damme seems like in this movie, Van Damme seems like a kid. He seems like an older teenager, or like maybe 20, and just like a bully kind of guy. So I think he was younger, maybe more of a chip on his shoulder. Good looking, definitely a handsome guy. So he's got a lot going for him, and I think probably got to let a lot of the attention get to his head, just like so many of these other guys did. But he seems a little younger than most. I didn't do the math, so I don't know, but it just seems that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's around our age. He's definitely in his 20s here.
Oh, he's older than us now, I think. I mean, he's got to be pushing 60, no?
Okay, well then if it's 86, I mean, let's say he's got to be in his 20s. So I don't think he's please go ahead. Let's just wait.
No. Keep going. I'm going to look it up while we're moving on.
All right, great. Here we go with this train wreck of a podcast. Groo, let's get some background on Kurt McKinney, the handsome young actor who plays the lead, Jason Stillwell. How about this, Andrew? Mm-hmm. Were you familiar with Mr. Stillwell at all?
No.
I'm not saying prior to the movie, but...
I wasn't familiar with anybody. I didn't see any familiar faces in this movie, even now.
McKinney was a student of the University of Louisville for 1 year. Then he headed out to Hollywood. He did some local commercials and films, was selling cars. Mid-'80s, when he moved to the Hollywood in the mid-'80s, found fame within a few months. He auditioned for the lead in 1985's American Ninja, but was turned down to his young age. And Groo, his film debut as well would come playing Jason Stillwell, of course, in No Retreat, No Surrender. He was asked to return to 1987's No Retreat, No Surrender 2, which was originally intended to be a direct sequel to the film. But safety concerns over filming in Cambodia, in the Cambodian jungles, persuaded both Van Damme and McKinney to back out. Perhaps a good move for Van Damme, not so good for McKinney.
Yeah.
McKinney has had guest roles in Gimme a Break, Highway to Heaven, Alf. He appeared as the first Ned Ashton, on the ABC soap opera General Hospital from 1988 to 1981. In 1990, Groo, he won the Soap Opera Digest Award for Outstanding Male Newcomer, daytime for his performance. He also won Best Hetero Anal Scene for 1983's X-Movie Academy Awards. The Pornies. Oh wait, I slipped that one in there. That's not true, everyone.
I'm gonna have to tell my boss that because I think McKinney is on the sub list at my school right now. So I don't know if they know about that one.
I heard Tuesday he's subbing for Algebra 2.
Yeah. By the way, Van Damme is 60 years old, which means he was 26 when he made this movie. So that surprises me.
No, because no.
He was born in 1960. He was born in 1960.
Okay, my bad. Okay, you're right. Okay.
He was born in 1960, so 26 when he's making or 25, I guess, when he's making the movie. Which he looks younger and he seems younger.
Okay.
Either way,
fair enough.
There you go.
I think it was all that rouge on his cheeks.
Yeah.
They're going to really make him that stereotypical.
I think Joan Rivers was his stylist for the movie.
His second contract TV role was his longest, Groo. He appeared as Matt Reardon in the CBS soap opera Guiding Light from 1994 to 2000, and then 2005 to 2009. So he did have a nice run, as an actor in soap operas. He starred in a minor role in 1999 film Pop. He's had a couple of small movie roles from there, 2000's Cupid and Jane, 2001 Super Talk, 2002 Bending All the Rules, and 2004 Savage Faith. Groo, not a bad run on TV for Mr. McKinney, movies not so much. And I asked you about, initial thoughts of Van Damme. Any thoughts on the presence of a young Kurt McKinney and maybe what could have been with his career? Wasting time?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this movie, everybody, I'm just going to say it, everybody in this movie comes off very, very badly. It's probably no. Listen, you have to call it what it is. All right, this is a wonderfully terrible movie. I love watching it. I enjoyed rewatching it. I mean, some. No, but the thing is, the way, and I'm talking about every level. I'm talking about the way it's filmed, the way the scenes are put together, the way it's edited, the sound. It makes everybody look and sound terrible. So it's hard to. I'd have to see Kurt McKinney in something else to get a true sense of how talented the guy is or is not. I don't know. You can't get that.
Well, you watched that porn scene from 1990 that he won.
Either that or Guiding Light, But
okay,
no, he's not. He comes across as kind of a wimp, kind of whiny, very tough to root for because there's nothing really fun or exciting about him. Van Damme, however, like I said before, has a screen presence that can't be faked. So
yes, he just eats up the screen.
He does. He chews the scenery a little bit, and
Yeah, I love my partner, but he's not one for subtlety.
What do you
chews
mean?
up the screen?
How else do you want me to say it?
I don't want to go. I want to go through the plot first, and then we'll go over. And then I'll give.
But you asked me my thoughts
too.
of Kurt McKinney, and I wasn't impressed.
I don't know. I thought maybe okay, fine. Not impressed.
Were you?
Well,
I mean, your opinion counts here.
It's
young Morgan Freeman. What?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think I'll hold my thoughts until I give my final sort of critical observations at the end.
That's fair.
All right, so we got Jason Stillwell. He's a young karate student, and he's a Bruce Lee fanatic. He trains in his father's Tom's dojo in Sherman Oaks, California. And of course, the movie opens up one night after a late-night training session. The dojo is visited by members of the evil organized crime syndicate, and they're looking to take over all the dojos in the country. Bad porn music. That one bad guy needs his eyebrow waxed. Groo, you mentioned it. that first fight scene, it's very much sped up. That initial scene where we get the sort of the setup of the movie, the organized crime syndicate, Jason and his dad at the dojo. Any early thoughts or too soon?
Yes, there's nothing too soon. It looks like it was made for what it was made for, about 75 cents. I mean, look, you work with what you've got, and I guess they did the best that they could do. But everything looks, it should be animated. Let's put it that way, because that's kind of what it seems like a cartoon. After
refusing to join the organization, Tom's leg is broken by, of course, Soviet martial artist Ivan the Russian Kretinsky.
Yeah, it's broken in half, and then he's like kneeling. Remember that? Like, I'm sitting there like, wait a second. When your leg is broken, you can't even move that thing. And he's sitting there like on one knee, and the next time you see him, he's in the hospital and his leg is like in the stirrups. Like, there's literally no way you'd be able to move your leg like that if Van Damme really did that to it.
I was just fixated on the Tom's like sort of Gil Fershman-esque hairdo, like that.
Oh, God.
Comb over Dutch boy kind of thing.
Yeah. He looked like a blonde George Harrison a little bit.
And then of course, they lay it on very heavy. Tom is, again, that martial artist who is going to instruct his son and his students, fighting. There's never a reason for fighting, and he's a little bit over the top with that. So of course, it's
the Miyagi thing. It's karate is only for defense. Same thing.
Well, the Stillwell family relocates to Seattle. We do get a nice shot of the Space Needle.
That'll solve all their problems.
Right. Yeah, moving away from always works.
Yeah, let's run away.
Of course, Jason meets RJ, played by RJ, which stands for Ray Ford Jefferson Madison III.
I love what the Riff Tracks guys said about that. And remember what they said about that name?
I tried to stay away from the Riff Tracks because I didn't want to be, shaded on my review. But please go ahead. I didn't even finish my line. Please, Andrew, tell everyone what Riff Tracks.
Well, now I can't.
Go ahead. What'd they say?
Well, it's because they were pointing out like the blatant racism, and it's like
it is.
And it's like they're giving, the one African American kid in the movie the last name of an old president, and it's like, it seems like that happens more often than not with these kinds of characters,
Well, I don't. Let me take a step back. I don't know if I would necessarily go the racist route. What I would say is it's very much stereotypical. Yeah. And the word that Andrew uses, which I hate, is it is a lot of tropey. I mean, as soon as RJ comes on the screen, cue like the rap music. He's dribbling a basketball. It's all sort of that same kind of.
And then he breaks into like the Michael Jackson dancing, and they have like a mini music video right in the middle of his thing.
And by the way, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible. So, and then of course, I like that he flips the script and says, to the white family, "Hey, you guys might be lowering property values in our neighborhood."
That's a great line, actually. I like that line. So, good written line by Kevin. What's his name? Goldstein or whatever his name is, the writer.
Wait. Let me go back to my notes. Keith Stramberg.
I was close. Well, no, I wasn't close at all.
So, of course, we cue in Fat Boy Scott, played by the morbidly obese Kent Lipham. Kent Lipham.
I'm just remembering.
Of course.
I'm sorry. I have to stop just because I'm remembering. I'm remembering watching. I'm sorry. I know you, but I'm remembering watching the Riff Tracks thing, and something that made me laugh like how. Okay, that first part where this fat kid is like talking to the guy, and one of the guys on Riff Tracks goes like, you stole my bike, Francis, like from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because that's what the kid looks like, and it's like, I remember I just laughed hysterically. Did you see that part?
Yeah, but I mean, Groo, at this point, let's just screw the podcast. Let everybody go watch Riff Tracks, and they've got every.
I'm just.
Well, again, of course, the bully's got to be the fat white kid, and of course, he doesn't know how to eat. He's got chocolate smeared all over his face like a gavone. I mean,
it's a wonderful, very deep character, very wonderful, very heartbreaking character.
Yeah, and then of course, Scott, of course, fighting RJ. RJ is a terrible rapper, by the way, but he's not a bad nose biter. He does get a good chunk of Scott's. We see it along the way. I love when the dad and Tom and Jason, that first argument in Seattle, and he tells him to go to his room, and he's like, "No!" I'm like, "You're 25 years old, and you're so upset about going to your room." He's like, "No, I don't want to go to my room." And I'm like, "I loved going to my room."
Please send me to my room. That's exactly where I want to
go. I had everything I needed.
Yeah,
please
lock that door. Turn on the Spice Channel. We're good to go.
There you go. Jason, of course, reunites with his old girlfriend, Kelly Riley, who lives in the neighborhood with her brother, Ian Whirlwind Riley, who's a newly crowned U.S. national karate champion.
Jay just happened to move to Seattle as well, huh?
I know. And then, of course, here's, I thought maybe an initial plot hole a little bit.
No. Not in this movie. No plot holes.
Of course, Ian gets that phone call from the crime syndicate, and he rushes out of the party to go to his dojo, and he runs into Jason. Jason's dated his sister, and he's just like, "Hey, sorry, buddy," and he just runs away. And I'm like, "This guy dated your sister. You didn't know him at all?" I mean, am I?
No, you're digging for plot holes in a movie that is one giant plot hole. So it's like. I don't mind. I didn't realize that, and I didn't mind it either, and I don't mind it now.
And then, of course, alluding to Van Damme's screen time, so they go to confront Ian at his dojo, and of course, there's no Kaczynski there, their top heavy guy.
Right.
They got the B squad confronting Ian.
Yeah, the B team. Van Damme wasn't available that day, and they still needed to film. So.
Groo, Jason has a hard time adjusting. Him and RJ are constantly beaten up and harassed by the local bullies, of course, led by obese Scott, and arrogant martial artist Dean Ramsey, played by Ron Pinnell. After getting beaten up and humiliated by Scott and Dean at Kelly's birthday party, Jason visits the grave of Bruce Lee and begs him for aid. Later that night, Jason and Tom, his dad, have a heated argument over Jason involving him in physical fights, and Jason calls his dad a coward for running away from the crime syndicate, and Tom destroys I love this scene. "You don't listen to me, so I'm going to destroy all your Bruce Lee memorabilia," and rips off his posters off his wall. And I don't know, I just felt like, Tom seems like a good guy. I don't know. I felt like a parent, destroying their son's room was a bit much, but it is 1986.
That would happen, and I think it pales by comparison when he's already destroyed his life. So, it's no big deal. I don't even remember what the guy was mad at his kid for, but
because his kid was openly, involved in physical confrontation, and Tom was always avoid at all costs.
Yes, but let's go practice karate, but don't ever use it.
Well, he kept on saying karate was, for defense only.
Yes, and when people are coming at you, what are you going to do?
And by the way, McKinney's Jason looks like a 30-year-old, and he's upset that his dad just ripped down his Bruce Lee poster. When you're supposed to be upset? When your dad rips down your Farrah Fawcett poster.
Yes.
That's when you're supposed to be upset.
So I have some questions for young Jason here. It's interesting that they chose Seattle to move to, by the way.
Well, go ahead. I know you're going to go down some rabbit hole, but go ahead.
No, it's just, because that's where Bruce Lee happens to be buried.
Oh, so okay. Well, then that was a specific.
Yes, but it's funny. It's funny that the father would choose Seattle. not wanting his son to be like ripping down a Bruce Lee, like everything, it's all about Bruce Lee. So I don't want you having anything to do with this nonsense anymore. So let's go to where your hero's buried, and maybe that'll suppress your, whatever it is, your desire to do what. I don't know. I'm lost already. This movie's so great.
Interesting point. Distraught, Jason consults with RJ, who helps him move all of his training gear, of course, into an abandoned house nearby. Because
Didn't he? And this is another thing. It's like he's helping him move. He's doing all this manual labor, and then McKinney or Jason flips him the keys as if now he's his chauffeur. Didn't he meet this guy like 3 minutes earlier? And he's like,
there is. Well, look. Let me get to my next point, and then I will go back to what you're saying, because of course, Jason is exhausted from the movie, falls asleep, and he's suddenly awakened by the soul of Bruce Lee, who appears to Jason and begins to train him. And if I could step back and be a little bit serious for a moment in all this absurdity, isn't this sort of again a stereotypical trope that people of other races help the white distraught teenager? I mean, you got, again, haven't we seen this time and time again that, a wise or, somebody that's non-white is going out of the way to help the white kid who has to find sort of balance in his
you're
life?
100% right. You got Bruce Lee, the wise old Asian, helping him out. You've got RJ, the young African American street kid, helping him out. Everybody's trying to help out this upper class, good looking kid who's probably got everything going for him, who just can't get the karate thing together. We all gotta help him. We all gotta have sympathy for Jason Stillwell, because America has just stuck it to him. Like everything's got to stop, and we got to make sure that he feels good about himself. Yes, it's a familiar trope. That one that was repeated years later, by the way, by Chuck Norris. Do you remember that? You remember the movie? It was called Sidekicks, where Joe Piscopo was like the evil. Was like the evil. Wait a second. Wait.
Stop it.
Wait.
Save it for the Cruising with Chuck Legion's podcast.
No, I'm just saying they take the same plot. There's a kid who's getting picked on, and he keeps praying to like the soul, even though he was still alive, of Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris comes from beyond the wall or something and trains this kid to beat, Joe Piscopo's dojo. It's like the same thing.
Well,
because this was so great.
I'll try again. For me, the Bruce Lee character. The Bruce Lee character, I got some problems with, because really, to me, the character is just straight exposition. It's just there to sort of explain, philosophy and plot further down. Like, I don't know. You have RJ observes later on in the movie Jason training. And he looks and he sees nobody there, but yet never confronts Jason. Like, what's going on, man? Like, I'm watching you, and you're by the way, in the nicest abandoned house I've ever seen. Yeah.
Well, I think when we're talking reality at this point, I think we could leave that in the rearview mirror.
I hear you, but I'm trying to have look at it somewhat seriously. I mean, they never explain sort of why the Bruce Lee ghost or image. We know Jason's a fan, but like, I don't know. They don't really ever explain as to why he was selected. And I'll go back to the whole Bruce Lee thing a little bit later.
Okay.
By the way, I do love the training. I love the ankle weights, because that really ups the rigor, the intensity of your workout. And then, of course, I did write. I don't know about you, but did you get any homoerotic overtones with Jason hip thrusting with RJ sitting on his
Oh
lap,
my God,
eating
Jesus
ice
Christ!
cream.
I had to turn it off at that point. I was like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "This is not what I remember." You know, like what are they doing? Oh my goodness
RJ
gracious!
is sitting on his groin as
Yes,
McKinney is
there's like
hip,
this.
you know,
Yes,
thrusting.
he's like straddling. Oh my God, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, I had to erase all downloads of the movie.
Yeah. If they catch that on my school computer, I'm dead.
I know. Let's see here. Of course, Andy, under Bruce Lee's tutelage, Jason goes from a below-average fighter to a superior martial artist. As we see them, the montage scenes of him doing, advancing more and more, and of course does a kip up, which is legitimately a tough thing to do.
Yes.
A kip up is a tough thing to do.
Yes.
Of course, the key scene is he helps his dad in the parking lot. He fends off several thugs. By the way,
oh, you mean Dad's going to be happy that he's doing karate now? Is this where his dad comes to realize?
It is, but my thing is, I've never saw a guy get beat up so many times in a movie. Like poor Tom. Every scene,
and he's not even the main character. He's not. He's the kind of guy who's like, if the camera has him walking down the street, a safe will fall on his head. He's like at the worst. He's got like the worst luck in the world, and he's not even the main character.
Of course, Jason convinces him that. Of course, there are times when fighting is necessary. And, of course, we move on to the final scene where Jason, Tom, and RJ attend a full-contact kickboxing tournament between the Seattle Sidekicks and the Manhattan Maulers, martial arts teams. Before the contest can get underway, the evil crime syndicate interrupts, and they make a wager that none of the Seattle fighters can defeat their unstoppable warrior. Of course, cue Jean-Claude Van Damme, who returns back to the film, as Ivan Krasinski, and of course Ivan easily defeats Dean and Frank, and we even get the early iconic leg split on the ropes from Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Dean and Frank, are they really trying to conjure up the Rat Pack here?
Good point. Didn't think about that. Van Damme does play the unbeatable Soviet heavy real well here. By the way, I've never seen an MMA fight that uses a gym scoreboard.
I didn't even realize that. I forgot about that. That's great. That's a very good observation right there.
Like end of the round.
It's like water break. Okay, everybody go wash your jocks.
And of course, Andrew, that leads us to what is supposed to be the final fight between Krasinski and Ian. And we know that Ian's a legitimate fighter himself. And Ian does make an impressive showing, and we gets sort of Van Damme's Ivan on his heels, and of course Ivan has to resort to dirty tactics to defeat him. I think he strings him up with like the ring bell, and he's just wailing away on him. And of course,
legal
Scott, morbidly obese Scott, sees the light and he rushes in to help his friend. He tries to bite Ivan in the leg, and of course, Krasinski easily dispatches
face turn.
Chunky Ivan. Yeah, with a headbutt, and then of course Kelly comes in with the bar stool, and Krasinski knocks her down. And I don't know. I just thought, like, if you see the video, Krasinski literally hits Ian like 30 times, completely unblemished. Well, I think he does. Doesn't he knock out the ref?
Well, yeah. I mean, because otherwise the ref would have to stop this nonsense, right?
By the way, I didn't know what gender.
You got to get rid of the ref.
I didn't know what gender the ref was. I didn't know if it was male or female.
I believe it was a person.
Okay, thank you.
Let's leave it there.
So Krasinski hits Ian like 20 straight times. But wait, Groo, there's hope. Jason charges to the ring and attacks Ivan.
And he's in the track suit.
Yes,
the track suit, that great track suit.
Of course, McKinney, Jason gets is getting his ass whooped, of course, until RJ says, "No retreat,
no surrender."
Oh, let's try that again. No retreat,
no surrender.
And of course, voila! It's like he sees the light. You get the montages, and
didn't Bruce like come in there? Like, didn't you see like Bruce's face or something?
Yeah, like at the very
Not
end.
Bruce Lee, Springsteen, because he got the song "No Retreat, Baby."
It is kind of like like a Springsteen-ish. Yeah. Of course, Jason vanquishes his nemesis, and he earns the respect of his peers in the crowd. Do
you remember that? You remember the thing where Van Damme is like, I killed you before, or whatever, and he's like, but this time it'll be different. Come on, like he's like, come on, like, oh my god.
I just loved that last fight scene where you see, Jason, he's winning, and then they try to connect the dots with his training. Like he hits the guy 10 times in the gut, and they show him like on the weighted bands, jabbing and
exactly. It's taking, in all seriousness, it's taking every motif from every one of these movies ever made and sort of dumbing it down and turning it, making it work for their story. Which, look, you can't be making this movie and look at it like we're going to win an Oscar. You're making this movie like it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to make a couple of bucks on its opening weekend because it looks good. Then people will realize what it is, and by then we'll have a few bucks in our pocket and we can go our separate ways. That's the way I look at something like this.
Yeah, the only thing Oscar related was Oscar, who was the extra when Van Damme knocked out 6 people in the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the organized crime syndicate leaves, and cue cheesy music, and everybody's cheering in the ring for Jason. And my favorite part of the end scene, of course, is RJ's Playboy shirt.
Yeah. Oh man, you noticed things that even I didn't. I forgot about that.
The cut sleeve, Playboy shirt. So
I love his little catchphrase too. Like, "Don't you worry, RJ will provide." I love that.
Groo, what was the box office for NRNS? You want to take a gander at how much money this movie made in the? I only found one stat for U.S. and Canada total.
Okay, U.S. and Canada. Well, it must have made a little bit of money because it must have been somewhat profitable because they did do sequels. Even though they had nothing to do with this movie, I'm going to say it probably cost about $1 million to make, if that, and probably made maybe $3.5-4 million in U.S. and Canada, around that.
Man, my man is on point. Film grossed a total of $4.6 million total in the U.S. and Canada. The No Retreat, No Surrender was released, Groo, on May 2nd, 1986. No Retreat, No Surrender was the 11th highest grossing film on its opening weekend. So, Groo, your take on it is pretty correct.
11th? It's the 11th highest gross. Wait. Did you say 11th highest grossing movie of the year? Oh, no. You said
no.
It had the 11th best weekend.
It was the 11th. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. The 11th highest grossing film on its opening weekend. So on its opening week, it was number 11 in the box office.
Oh, okay. That's all right. That's pretty bad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's bad.
But what we're saying is it eked out enough. It had maybe enough word of mouth that it turned a little bit of a profit.
Yeah, like I said, look, idiots like me went to see it because it looked good, or it looked like something interesting. It looked like what was hot at the time. Rocky IV was a year and a half before that. Karate Kid was right there as well. And those kinds of movies were making money, and they were being made. Especially, it was also the rise of Cannon, those guys. So, which I think Van Damme hooked up with them and made a bunch of movies for them. So I think this kind of, in a way, spawned a type of movie that would reign for a good 5-6 years. So, quality-wise, it might be, below the belt, but, legacy... There might be something there,
Thank you, Andrew.
What? You can't respond to me?
I would say, I blame them for canon. That's
that's pretty much it, right?
Canada did do some schlock, did do some good stuff as well.
Sure.
Groo, there was some critical response for the film. Walter Goodman of the New York Times gave the film a negative review, writing that the story appeared to have been, quote-unquote, slapped together. The martial arts magazine Black Belt gave the film a rating of 1.5 out of 5, noting that Jean-Claude Van Damme does not have that much screen time, and the film was derivative of The Karate Kid. Patrick Goldstein of the LA Times called the movie hilariously bad and an amateurish clunker with poor action scenes. In 1993, Black Belt placed the film 7th on their list of top 10 choreographed martial art films. The magazine specifically praised Van Damme's jump kicks, while noting that McKinney looks suspiciously quick, noting that, unlike the Hong Kong movie industry, American filmmakers have yet to master the technique of speeding up the film without that jump fidgety side effect. Groo, I will throw it to you on our official Van Damminator movie scale from 0 to 4. How many karate kicks do you give? No retreat, no surrender.
I give it 1. I give it 1 out of 4. 1 karate kick out of 4, based on the fact that it's really a bad movie, but the 1 karate kick is for the enjoyment of actually watching it. Because there are bad movies that are painful to watch, and then there are bad movies that are actually fun to watch. And this was fun to watch. Plus, it gave birth to a future movie star. And without it, I don't know if we'd ever got. Somebody saw something in the villain in this movie and took him out of it and gave us, a really solid, a very solid career. So I give it the 1 karate kick for the good that it did. So that's my take on it. Other than that, it's there's no denying it's a bad movie, badly made, badly written, badly acted, but it gave birth to some good stuff.
Okay, Groo, I will give it a half karate kick on the Van Damminator movie scale, but I'm actually surprised because pretty much my review is the same as you. It's not a good movie, and actually, worst of all, perhaps, is Van Damme's barely in the movie. So I will give it a little bit of a note because, it does give us the first sort of indication of Jean-Claude Van Damme on film. And again, enjoyable to watch. I don't even find it enjoyable to watch. I think it's a nice marker of 80s schlocky action film, martial arts films and all, sort of the I don't know if it's the word is fun, but the fun stereotypes, the motifs, the tropes that we talked about. But I agree with Andrew. It's barely passable for an 80s cheesy martial arts film. Poor production, poor editing, no budget. I will say the actors do try here.
Sure, they try, yeah.
And the ironically named J.W. Fails as RJ, I thought was by far the best. I thought RJ was the best character. He had a little panache to it. They try to connect the dots at the end, with Jason's training. I don't even know. We talked about. I don't even know why Bruce Lee is there. There's no sort of finality at the end.
And why does Bruce Lee look more like Burt Reynolds than Bruce Lee? But
I'm trying to legit review the movie, but ironically enough, because I thought Andy was going to go with a deliciously kitschy. So he said it's a bad movie, and it's a bad movie.
But I can't knock, like the reviews that you read were like, well, Van Damme is only on screen for a few minutes. Well, I can't hold that against the movie because at the time Van Damme wasn't Van Damme yet. He was one of the bad guys in the movie. He wasn't the star, and he wasn't well known. Nobody knew who he was. I didn't know who he was.
Okay, but as your main bad guy, there are various scenes in the movie with the crime syndicate. It's like they plucked them for the first and the last scene. I felt like there was a legit plot hole. Like there were other scenes with a crime syndicate. Hold on, let me finish. They confronted other people and they did bad things, and you don't see Van Damme. So I'm wondering why he didn't have a little bit more of screen time. I think that's a legitimate, if you look at it legitimately.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll compare it, even though I think.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you for giving me. Thank you.
I'll compare it to Rocky IV a little bit. Where?
How dare you? How dare you?
What? You hate that movie too?
There's no. Go ahead. Let me hear this.
But I'll compare it to Rocky IV in that Ivan Drago, he's the main bad guy, yet. It's the people around him who are doing all the talking and are who I would argue have just as much, if not a little bit more screen time, save for the actual fighting.
Okay, so my point to that would be Drago was on the screen for a decent amount of time. Maybe he's not communicating, but
right.
Dolph Lundgren has significant screen time.
Yeah,
Here, you don't see Van Damme until the very beginning and the very end, and there's he has only the one or two lines at the very end of the movie. That's it. I get your point, but I'm just saying, as what's known to be the first Van Damme film, he's barely in it at all.
These days it's marketed like that because Van Damme is in it. Back then, it was not marketed that way. I remember. And like today, you'll see movies that come out, whatever. You'll see Kevin Costner in Sizzle Beach, and it's this schlock movie from the early '80s that Costner has like a 30-second part in that they're going to market to try to get people to pay the money to buy the movie because Kevin Costner's in it, and then realize that it's a piece of shit that Kevin Costner's hardly in. It's it's kind of become one of those things where what can we market this thing around to just ink out another $1.50 just to get somebody to watch it, and that's kind of what they do with this movie nowadays. Because if you go on YouTube and you look for it, the first search term is going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, even though he's got very little to do with the movie. So it's become one of those, which is which I would do too. They're trying to still make money off it. Why? Why not? Why not? Doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it worse. It makes it exactly what it was in 1986. Just exactly what we're saying it is.
Well, certainly, Jean-Claude, 1986, No Retreat, No Surrender. Certainly that's the kickoff point. Andrew, for our next Van Dammit podcast, we will take a look at 1988's Bloodsport.
Now we're talking.
I am interested to see his progression as an actor and an action movie star. So I am. First of all, I've definitely seen Bloodsport. I haven't seen it in a super long time, so I'll be interested to rewatch it. But if there's anything interesting about, quote unquote, this podcast, is we're taking one single actor and we're going to sort of progress and see the successes, the failures, the pitfalls, and everything else.
Yeah, and this is certainly an interesting one because I always looked at Van Damme as someone who's kind of on that second tier. Never quite got to the heights that like a Stallone or Schwarzenegger or maybe even a Steven Seagal got to at the height of his. But he's right there, and he's got some real winners, some of which people know about, some of which I think people don't really know about. So it'll be interesting to go over those. And Bloodsport, I believe, is his first starring role. It's very shortly after this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I believe you're correct. So, real winners, that will be a focus of future debate.
I know there's at least one that I really, really like a lot. What about you?
We'll save it for...
No, I won't say what it is, but are there any that you like?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not here to dog out Jean-Claude, but all right, let me...
No, but even the best of them have probably it's almost like baseball. It's like if you're 3 for 10, that you're in the Hall of Fame. So it's like most people, I think, have more losers than winners, but the winners are real winners. Do you know what I mean? Like Stallone probably has more negative movies than positive, but the positive ones are classics, or the real positive ones are classics. Same with Schwarzenegger, same with Bruce Willis. I mean, Bruce Willis can do 100 of these direct-to-video pieces of shit, but he'll always have Die Hard. And,
right,
you know what I mean by that?
All right, listen. Yeah, but Bruce Willis is, he's a movie whore now. He's on every piece of crap. I mean, he's looking just to get a paycheck.
I understand that. I'm just saying, but with Van Damme, we come to expect a certain. It comes with a stigma of another Van Damme chop-socky thing, and there are some that really do rise above that, and I don't think he's gotten the credit that he might deserve, and that's what we're here for.
All right, let's keep it to Van Damme-ness.
I just said. Groo, I was just talking about him.
All right. Are we ready to wrap it up? We never finish. It's just...
Would you say... I have a question. I have a question about this movie for you. Would you say that... would you say that... What? I know you're hungry.
Ahead,
you're tired. I know. Would you say... Would you say that the appearance of Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie makes it a better movie than it might have been otherwise? Does he do
absolutely
anything? Okay, then
absolutely he plays the heavy. I said, in my final summation, the actors, they try here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're given shit.
But let's say it was Jeff. Let's say it was Jeff Speakman.
You asked me a question.
Okay.
Okay. Stop rambling over me.
But I love your reaction when I do.
No. Okay, but that makes for a shitty podcast. He plays the Russian heavy well. I mean, come on. You want me to talk about it seriously?
Yes.
I don't know if I would go to the effect of eating up the scene, but he does the bad foreign villain well enough that he didn't make a mockery of it. You could see that there's perhaps some potential for future stuff.
Right. So my question was, like, if Jeff Speakman was in this role, what would the difference have been?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I know of Jeff Speakman, but I don't know his filmography. All right, please go to Speakman, the Speakman podcast.
The perfect weapon himself.
Can we promo our next shows?
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. We got like offshoots of podcasts, but
subsidiaries. We have.
If we haven't completely annoyed you, our next Nothing Worthwhile podcast with Moody and Groo, Andrew and I will be breaking down the Sopranos prequel. That's on HBO Max, premiered yesterday, October 1st. Many Saints of Newark. Groo and I are both Soprano fans, and blah, 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 blah. Andrew, our next Nothing Worthwhile podcast with Moody and Groo. Many Saints of Newark.
Yes, the Moltesante of Newark. I have not seen it yet.
Neither have I.
It's out in the theaters, but I'm going to watch it on HBO Max at home probably tonight. Looking forward to it. Don't know how necessary it is, but I've heard some people have said it's very good. Some people have said it's not. I will judge for myself, and I'm looking very much forward to talking about it with you on the next Nothing Worthwhile.
Yeah, I have noticed that some of the reviews have been a little midland. That's all I'll say about that. But yes, I'll probably watch it perhaps tonight as well, and looking forward to it. Again, for our next Van Dammit podcast, listen attentively as Andrew and I will break down 1988's Bloodsport. I think we've already said what we.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I am actually excited to watch that movie again. It's been a long time, and I know I liked it before. So meaning I know when I saw it, I really liked it. I knew what I was getting with this one. I hated it in the beginning, and I love to hate it even more now. Meaning, No Retreat, No Surrender. So they're always enjoyable to talk about. So I'm looking forward to talking about Bloodsport next week.
Well, I'm always a fan of any movie with the word blood in it.
Yes. Yeah, blood
thank
in,
you.
Blood in, blood out.
Well, that's it. I sound like Bill O'Reilly. That's
Yeah.
it for this episode of Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Andrew and I will bid everyone a fond adieu as we say, no retreat!
No surrender!
Yeah, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Later.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up. They were chopping